Mike and Ryan, of course, both WVU grads, as is our next guest. And even though he's representing the outside view for this game, we still appreciate Matt Tabeek, the host of AtlantaFalcons.com podcast, a WVU alum. He joins us now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline for this week's Outside View look at the Atlanta Falcons. Matt, welcome back.
Guys, thanks for having me on. Can we just play that song and just call it a day?
You know, about 2 weeks ago, I was out in an establishment, and the band was playing the song, and they called me up on stage to sing it.
That's fantastic.
There's video proof of this.
Do you remember the words?
I had the phone out with the lyrics just because I didn't want to. I was a little nervous.
He thought he did better at the time. The next morning, it didn't sound as good.
Yeah, it didn't sound as good afterwards.
Wow. But I'm sure it was fun.
Well, I know that the Eagles fans have been anticipating this game for a while, and obviously they went through the ride they went through last year. But how are the Falcons feeling about this? They're almost like the forgotten team in this game, it feels like. This is a game that was fingertips away from advancing, and here the Eagles are getting all the off-season hoopla, but this is a pretty good Falcons team coming into Philly tonight.
It sure is, and as soon as they found out that they were going to be in this game on Thursday night to kick off the 2018 season, that game that you just referenced is one they'd like to forget. And so they've been pretty excited about it. Everybody in the building has been pretty excited about it. So I think the mood here is they're just as happy to be in this game as Eagles fans. I know it's going to be a big celebration early on, but once they kick it off, it's football. So and I just think that it's an honor to be in this game for any team, but the Falcons are definitely looking forward to kicking this game off here, especially in light of what happened January 13th. So
yeah, we were kind of discussing this yesterday, like, when the Falcons get their schedule and see, hey, we've got Philly opening night, is this the perfect place and time that we'd like to get Philly if we're going to get them on the schedule this year?
I think so, absolutely. I think you want to get every team's different, and every coach will tell you that, and every year's different, coaching staff, players, all that stuff. But this is a veteran team. 19 to 22 starters are back. There's just 15 new faces altogether on this team. It's a veteran team. And, they've been in the Super Bowl. They've been to the postseason, back-to-back years. And they understand what this game is about. They understand the importance of it, but they also know it's one of 16, too. So I think whatever team kind of manages those emotions, especially early on, will benefit from that for sure.
Matt Tabeek, the digital managing editor, columnist, and podcast host for AtlantaFalcons.com, our outside view today. Look at the Falcons. No Wentz. It's Foles. And this game last year, even though the Eagles won and then went on to win the Super Bowl in very impressive fashion, they were not impressive offensively in that game. So how does this no Alshon Jeffrey, no LeGarrette Blount, do the Falcons view this offense of the Philadelphia Eagles as a lesser version than they saw last year?
Oh, I don't think so at all. I think I think there's a lot of respect for the Eagles team, and just because of what you just said, nobody's overlooking this team at all. They are the defending Super Bowl champs for a reason, and there's a lot of those guys are back on defense. Most of them are back on offense. Nick Foles, he had an amazing run, and I don't think that's one thing that you have to that anyone should really kind of think that's the thing that Atlanta's taken. Looking at just because Jeffrey's not playing and Foles is back there, I don't think anybody around here is taking that for granted or lightly. So,
Matt, this is Ryan. You mentioned Nick Foles. Now, how does the Atlanta media and the Atlanta fan base view Nick Foles as a quarterback? Because that's just the hot topic for obvious reasons here is Foles or Wentz. When should they bring Wentz back? How much trust do you have in Foles even after the Super Bowl win? So I'm just curious on how the opposing fan bases and even the opposing media like yourself view Nick Foles. How do you feel going into tonight's game with Foles under center?
A lot of respect for him, and the fan base. If you just talk about the fans believe that the Falcons should have won that game. The fans believe that the Falcons should win tonight. The fans believe the Falcons are a better team. The Atlanta Falcons themselves, though, have a ton of respect for Nick Foles, have a ton of respect for that offense. You hear so much RPO all week long.
Yeah.
And so they respect what he can do. They respect, he'll take whatever the Falcons defense will give him, and he's a patient guy back there. But he has a nice touch on the deep balls, and there was some talk that because he struggled in the preseason that, it's the same old Nick, or whatever that talk was. But
yep.
Look, the Falcons went 0-4 this preseason. They went 0-4 last preseason. There's not we don't put a lot of stock into what happens in the preseason at all. So I think I view Nick Foles as the guy who, won Super Bowl or led his team to a Super Bowl 52, their championship. So no one's looking at Nick like this is some kind of lesser team. I will say, though, once Carson Wentz was ruled out, there was a thought here that, we could end up seeing both of them, especially if Nick did struggle early on. But it sounds like that, at least what I'm hearing is, they're going to just make sure that when Wentz is 100%, meaning he can take a hit and he can, stand in the pocket and function back there, it could be a couple weeks. So, as far as tonight goes, no one's expecting Wentz to show up or come out onto the field, but and get behind center. But no, there's a ton of respect for Nick Foles.
Yeah, and of course, the Eagles' defense is a little different than the team that really pressured Atlanta last year. They added Michael Bennett, but no Nigel Bradham in the game tonight. I mean, this is going to be an interesting test as well. How has Atlanta improved offensively that maybe they can get more than 10 points tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, they drafted the kid out of Alabama, Calvin Ridley, in the first round, and so now they've got Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Mo Sanu, in the receiving core, and Austin Hooper had a great training camp, the tight end, and his backup even had a tremendous camp, Eric Sauber. But the biggest difference for me is that offensive line. They added Brandon Fusco, and it's the same unit coming back, but Fusco brings, 8 seasons, under his belt. He is, when he got in there in the third preseason game, it was the second preseason game against Kansas City, there was a noticeable difference in the run game. And so I think that's the biggest difference to me, that they're just a little deeper and a little bit better up front. And the one difference, too, in this game from that standpoint is Devonta Freeman was not 100% by any means the last time he faced the Eagles. Tevin Coleman was, and he had a decent game. But you're going to, both of those backs are 100% tonight, and Freeman didn't play at all in the preseason. So he's chomping at the bit to get out there. He's got fresh legs, and, I think that's going to be, to me, I don't know if it's going to rain or not, but I think you're going to see the Falcons try to run the ball, and, and so much of what they do is predicated off the run game. They like the play action. They like to hit you deep off the play action. So, I think they're going to want to establish that run game, and the line is a lot, not a lot, but it's better this year, and that run game is going to be healthy. That's going to be a big difference.
Yeah, Matt, that was going to be my next question. That's what I was going to ask you, if you want to elaborate more, is just the blueprint for the Atlanta Falcons to come into Philly tonight and beat the Eagles. I'm once again just curious how other teams and other fan bases view that. Now, how do you think the Atlanta's going to attack the Eagles from the defensive side of the ball, meaning Atlanta's defense, and then if you want to elaborate any more on how Atlanta's offense is going to attack the Eagles to potentially come out there with a win tonight?
Well, their offensive line, Philadelphia's offensive line, is one thing they do really, really well from what I can tell, and what, and just watching them, is they're athletic and they can get out there, especially in the run game. They get out there and they get on guys, and they're not going to maul you. And when the big maulers are coming at you, our guys just run past them. And the Falcons defense is fast. They're not the biggest guys, but they're fast. They're predicated on speed. And so, that one thing Philadelphia did really well was get out there. They're athletic, and they got helmets on guys, and it opened up the run game for them, Jay Ajayi. So I think they're going to want to try to do that again, and that's going to be a big battle. I think, and then Jason Peters being back, they're going to, Tack McKinley and Vic Beasley are the defensive ends now. And so, again, those guys are edge rushers, and, their game is speed. So those are the things I'll be watching. But I think that's kind of the formula for Philadelphia. They want to get out there and take advantage of their athletic linemen. And they've been able to do that pretty well. So
Matt Tabeek covers the Falcons, AtlantaFalcons.com. Tonight our coverage begins with the Countdown to Kickoff show at 6 o'clock. Merrill and Mike have the call at 8:20. It's Eagles-Falcons right back in Philadelphia here on 97.3 ESPN. Matt, appreciate it as always, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on.